Tell me more. Speak comfort to me. I have none to give.
Jurassic World Rebirth is the 7th Jurassic Park film. It's directed by Gareth Edwards, written by franchise veteran David Koepp, and features an entirely new cast with no returning faces. Starring are Scarlett Johansson, Jonathan Bailey, Mahershala Ali, and Rupert Friend, who form an expedition to find a cure for heart disease, by means of...
Bingo. Dino DNA.
But with the dinosaurs around the world having virtually all died out, they have to go to an island that is home to another abandoned InGen laboratory. Along with a shipwrecked family, they wind up stranded, and this leads to a lot of screaming and running from dinosaurs on an island. Again. I went into this movie not with super high expectations, but really just hoping for the best. I think what I'm most known for on this channel is that I am a huge Jurassic fan who was severely let down by Dominion, perhaps to a degree that was a little extreme, but for what was supposed to be the epic conclusion to the core Jurassic story, it was a baffling dud. So I've made it clear that there is no possible way that it could get any more disappointing than Dominion. I did not say that it couldn't get worse. Believe me, I really don't like having to say it because I want to love what comes out of this franchise. The first Jurassic Park is the reason I love movies. The first Jurassic World is the reason I'm on YouTube. And despite what followed, I still love the heck out of Fallen Kingdom. And one of the reasons why is because it broke the mold. It moved the Jurassic story forward. Dominion, on the other hand, really didn't move anything forward. It just ended in the same place it began. So what then would be the next logical step? Kill off all the dinosaurs on the mainland, effectively undoing the entire world Fallen Kingdom built, and just go back to doing the same old tired shtick, restraining all of the action to an island. That'll bode well, right? Even the reason for why the dinosaurs are dying is really flimsy, and the transition from the ending of Dominion to the opening of Rebirth could not be clunkier. Now, I went in thinking to myself, give the benefit of the doubt, maybe there is a really good reason for going back to an island. After all, in Universal's official announcement, they did state that there would be a sinister, shocking discovery that's been hidden from the world for decades, so maybe that would still break some new ground. Well, not only is that shocking discovery completely non-existent, but there are no twists and turns whatsoever. This is about as obvious a cash-in as cookie-cutter Jurassic sequel as you can get. After Dominion was the worst-received Jurassic movie by audiences and critics alike, it became kind of apparent to me that Universal was scrambling to salvage the reputation of their most profitable brand, when Rebirth was announced early last year, and by the end of the year, the whole production was complete. The entire process of making it came across to me as rushed, and boy does that show in the finished product. It's really clear to me that David Koepp's involvement was meant to be the draw since he wrote the first movie and The Lost World, but in reality he was just phoning it in, saving his effort this year for presence in Black Bag. Admittedly, the opening sequence set 17 years in the past did get my attention. It makes use of the butterfly effect, with chaos breaking out because of the simple action of someone tossing aside a Snickers wrapper. And when a black JP icon zooms out among the backdrop of ominous red smoke, I was thinking, okay, this movie means business. But from then on, it is just total autopilot. All these new characters we meet are pretty bland, with Scarlett Johansson and Mahershala Ali playing really typical mercenaries with typical sad backstories. And while their acting is okay, nothing stood out about either of them. I did kinda like Jonathan Bailey's character, Dr. Loomis, because as a career paleontologist, he's not just a generic fish out of water. He's hesitant about going along on the mission at first, but when dinosaurs show up, he's filled with joy regardless of what kind it is. When he witnesses a pair of mating titanosaurs, his lip is quivering, and when he's surrounded by swimming spinosaurs, all he can do is laugh in danger's face. Even so, there are still some things about his character that are just paint-by-numbers Jurassic, like a monologue he has about the fragility of mankind. It doesn't encapsulate the themes of this particular movie, so it just comes across as obligation. Every other movie has some philosophical monologue, whether from Ian Malcolm or Henry Wu, so we gotta shoehorn one in some way. And at the point where he says, when the world is done with us, it's going to shake us off like a summer cold, I half expected him to full-on channel George Carlin and say, like a bad case of fleas. The thing that most made me want to see this movie is when Jonathan Bailey stated that his character's motivation is to make Alan Grant proud. And now that I've seen it, I have no idea what he's talking about. This really important connection to Grant he teased, I swear I'm spoiling nothing, it's just one fleeting reference to him being a former student of his. Way to keep us in suspense over nothing, John. Between this and Dominion, do we just need to stop trusting anyone involved with these movies? Rupert Friend plays a big pharma representative named Martin Krebs, and there are aspects of his character that make him sort of a more faithful adaptation of a certain character from the Crichton novels. But at the same time, as soon as I knew what he was, I knew exactly what he was going to become by the third act. What's more, as soon as we're introduced to the entire crew, I called exactly who is going to live and who is going to die by the end. It's that predictable. And even at a moment when I started to think that the movie would grow some guts, it totally cops out. It's when a character gets into a seemingly unwinnable situation, and the movie doesn't do us the courtesy of showing how said character got out of it. And along for the terror is the Delgado family, a father, his 2 daughters, and the older daughter's boyfriend, who were out on a boating vacation until they got shipwrecked by the Mosasaurus. Up until seeing the movie, I constantly wondered why they're in it at all, since they seem pretty unrelated to the mission at hand. Now, the fact that they are unrelated to the mission is kind of the point, but the majority of the time, they're still separated from the expedition, which feels like what Dominion did after Kayla's plane crashed. Separate characters just for the sake of cramming in more dinosaur action. One of these, of course, is the T-Rex attacking the Delgados on the river raft, a scene straight out of the first book, which, if you've seen the second trailer and a couple of TV spots, you've already seen a good 90% of the entire sequence. I'll give this to Gareth Edwards, he does know how to do visual reveals, like something appearing to the eye one way, and then it turns out to be another way. There are 2 or 3 such visual reveals like that are well played. But honestly, the dinosaurs here aren't very scary because they appear and disappear with such ridiculous silence. They're like ninja dinos. And I don't just mean velociraptors. I mean even the giant predators can sneak up on someone without making a sound. You know, at the end of the first movie and even Fallen Kingdom, how the T-Rex suddenly enters a frame without making the ground shake beforehand? This movie unashamedly puts that on full display so we don't miss it. Even the effects at times weren't the greatest. It's like, the smaller the dinosaur, the lesser the effect. The Titanosaurs looked beautiful. The T-Rex, Spinosaurs, and Mosasaurs, also fantastic. But the smaller ones, like the Dilophosaurus, these new red and blue compies, and the Aquilops that the younger Delgado sister befriends, they all look kinda cheap. Not the worst effects ever by any means, but I would say the worst effects in the series. How is that still happening today? How can you not at least match the effects from 1993, or even 1997? The Dilophosaurus, by the way, does absolutely nothing. Subtract its screen time in Dominion from its screen time in Jurassic Park, and you have its screen time in Rebirth. And the new addition that's introduced here, the mutant experiments that were abandoned on this island, are so unnecessary. Their designs are cool, for a Godzilla or Cloverfield movie, but when we have so many monster franchises like that, why can't Jurassic Park just be the dinosaur franchise? I've said it before and I'll say it again, sometimes the ante needs no upping. The Distortus Rex isn't even all that interesting. It's been marketed as though it's the Indominus Rex or Indoraptor of the movie, but it leaves no impact. It's not like there's a build-up to this thing, or like you feel its grim presence throughout the movie even when it's not on screen. No, it just shows up for a few minutes at the end. And to anyone who's afraid that the Mutodons, those Raptor-Pterosaur hybrids, were going to steal a lot of the spotlight from the Velociraptors, let me tell you, you have no idea how justified you are in fearing that. I'll just say, it is an even bigger slap in the face than what Jurassic Park 3 did to the T-Rex. I'm dead serious. There are two other reasons why I would say Jurassic Park 3 is far superior to Rebirth. The first is that JP3 is just a modest hour and a half. It knows what it is, just a basic escape movie with a string of dinosaur chases, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. While Rebirth is about as simple, it runs for 2 hours and 15 minutes, and it has no business going on that long. The other reason is that JP3 never did anything to break canon, while Rebirth absolutely does. Every single question I had going into this movie, none of them get answered. Even just the mere existence of this new island creates dozens of universe-shattering problems. I won't talk any spoilers until the movie's opening weekend, but I'm telling you guys, there is nothing to spoil. There are exactly 0 surprises. If the lame title of this movie made it sound like a direct-to-video bargain bin sequel, well, that's pretty much what it is, except it's big budgeted. It's impressive to me that it couldn't even meet the little expectations I had for it, especially when it's a Jurassic movie where, unlike Dominion, the dinosaurs do have importance to the story. I'll give Dominion credit, it does have memorable parts. I remember it as the movie that got Grant and Sattler back together. I remember the Therizinosaurus, the Malta stuff, and Dodson getting the boogie fever. Rebirth is the first movie in the series that I can say is utterly forgettable. Heck, maybe this was Universal's plan all along. Reverse course on everything and just slap together the most blasé ho-hum Jurassic movie as quickly as they can to make us appreciate Dominion more. And, I don't know, it might be working. Scoring on the Factor Facts, I'm going to have to give Jurassic World Rebirth a 37%. That's a wrap, thank you for watching. If you didn't find this review reassuring, I hope you at least found it helpful. Like and share, subscribe for more. This is Pop Culture. I'm Alex Pop.